Okay, welcome back to the channel. Today we want to continue from the previous video on vibrations in strings. Just in case you've not seen that video, we'll leave the description, the link in the description below. Just click on it and you would see it. So today we want to look at vibrations. But not in strings, but in pipes. So we want to look at vibrations in pipes. We had considered vibrations in strings, but this time we're going to consider vibrations in pipe. And there are two types of pipe. There are two types. We have the closed pipe and we have the open pipe. Well, a pipe is said to be closed if one end of the pipe is actually closed, and a pipe is said to be open if it is open at both ends. So you see, this is closed at this end and this is open, such that the configuration of waves inside will be such that you only have a node at the closed point and you will always have an antinode at the open end of the closed pipe. So just another brief illustration. We have talked about this in the previous video. If you have a cycle of wave and it's a standing wave like this point where they join, it's called a node, and at that point there are no vibrations of the particles of the medium. At this point where you have the maximum curve it's called the antinode, and that's where you have the maximum vibrations of the particles of the medium. Okay, right. So the major difference between a closed pipe and an open pipe, aside the fact that a closed pipe has one end closed and an open pipe has both ends open, is the orientation of the waves in them. For a closed pipe, you will always have a node, and at the tip you will always have an antinode. Whereas for an open pipe, you will have an antinode at both ends. You will always have an antinode at both ends, and then you will have a node at the center. So this is the node where we don't have any vibration, and this is the antinode where we have the maximum vibrations. Okay, so we're considering the closed pipes, and one of the first things that we want to look at is which is going to be the most basic configuration of standing waves in the pipe. What is going to be the most basic? Remember that when we talk about waves, right, always sinusoidal, stuff like that, and if we complete them to become a standing wave, we'll have stuff like this. Okay, so here is the node. Okay, here is the node. Here is another node. Here is another node. Here is an antinode. Here is an antinode. And here is an antinode. If a closed pipe must have a node at the closed point, at the closed end, right? And an antinode at the open end. And it's very important that a closed pipe must have a node. So that is to say, we must have a node at this point. This point must always be a node, and at this point we will always have an antinode. You will realize that the lowest configuration that we would have would be this. This would be the lowest configuration that we can make of this. So we can't have anything smaller than this. We can't have anything lower than this. This is the basic. Okay, it's the fundamental. All right, now you remember from our previous video that we had shared this, we had demarcated this, like to give them the length in their various wavelengths. Okay, so if I look at a complete wave as this, one wavelength or one cycle, you see from here to here we have called lambda. And if I complete it as a standing wave, so from here down to this place is lambda. If I share it in two, I would have that this is now lambda over 2 and this is also lambda over 2. And if I go ahead and divide lambda over 2 into 4, I would have lambda over 4. And that also corresponds to what we have here, to say that from this point down to this point is actually lambda over 4. So it means that basically what we can have as fundamental is lambda over 4. And you realize that this is also equal to length of pipe. So you see, this lambda over 4 is equal to the length of the pipe. So what can we say from that? We can say that length of pipe, L, is equal to the wavelength over 4, because that's what we have here, the wavelength over 4. So we can as well say that the wavelength lambda is equal to 4L. And then we keep that in mind. And we go back to also recall that frequency is equal to velocity over the wavelength. Okay, now if I do further substitution, I'm going to have that since my lambda is equal to 4L, that frequency is going to be equal to the velocity over 4L. Velocity over 4L, and I'm going to put that in a box. So I'm going to write that somewhere down here, F is equal to V over 4L, and I will get back to that. So we'll go on to find higher configurations. What are we going to get as the frequency for higher configurations of the closed pipe? So we go down So we'll have our pipe, and following the rule, we should have a node here because that's the closed end of the pipe, and we should have an antinode here. Okay, so to do that, I would start from my node. I should have something like this and that. Okay, to complete it, yep, and beautiful. Okay, so from here down to this point, from what we've done so far, is lambda over 2. That's half of a wavelength. And of course, from here is quarter of a wavelength down to this point. So that from here to here becomes lambda over 2 plus lambda over 4, which is equal to 3 lambda over 4. So we have 3 lambda over 4. Therefore, the length of this pipe will be equal to 3 lambda over 4. So we are saying that L is equal to 3 lambda over 4. That is to say that 4L is equal to 3 lambda, and lambda is equal to 4L divided by 3. 4L divided by 3. And if I throw that into this, I'm going to have F is equal to V over 4L over 3, which will become V over 4L times 3. Therefore, F is equal to 3V over 4L. Okay, now remember we already had this in the box, so I am also going to put this in another box to say 3V over 4L. So let's also run one more time. So this time we are taking another closed pipe, and we want something higher than the second one that we did. And as usual, we want to start with the node here, and we want to move that way and go that way and go that way and go that way. Okay, so this would be the next thing that we have. Okay, yeah. All right, so completing it into a standing wave, we're going to have this, that, and that. Okay, so you already know that from here down all the way to this point is a full wavelength, and from here down to this place is a quarter lambda, such that the whole of this, such that for this we are saying that L is equal to lambda over 4 plus lambda, which is equal to 2 lambda, 5 lambda over 4. 5 lambda over 4. So if we substitute that into this equation, we're going to have that F is equal to V over 5 lambda over 4, which will eventually become V Oh, we've missed a step to say that. So we'll have L is equal to 5 lambda over 4, implying that 5 lambda is equal to 4L, and therefore lambda is equal to 4L over 5. So I'll finish that up somewhere around here. So F will be equal to V over 4L over 5. Therefore, F is equal to 5V over 4L. And I'm going to put that in a box to say F is equal to 5V over 4L. Okay, from this, and this, we have F fundamental, and we want to represent it with F naught is equal to V over 4L. And this, just like what we did in our previous video, we are calling the fundamental frequency, and we are also calling it the first harmonic. And this for closed pipe. Remember, this is exclusively closed pipes. The first, the F1 will be is 3V over 4L. But take a look at this. Take a look at this. The whole of this is exactly this. So I can as well write it as 3F naught, because the whole of V over 4L is F naught, and that is what we'll call the second harmonic or the first overtone. And F2 is equal to 5V over 4L. And here again, we are having V over 4L. And V over 4L is also F naught. So it means that we would go ahead and have 5F naught, which is the third harmonic or the second overtone. Okay, what do we notice? It's as though that for closed pipes, subsequent configurations of the vibrations are odd number multiples of the fundamental frequencies. Odd number multiples. So for the odd numbers, we have 1, we have 3, we have 5, we have 7, we have 9, and that. So it means that the frequencies will come in this order: 1F naught, 3F naught, 5F naught, 7F naught, 9F naught, that. So for a closed pipe, we count in the odd number multiples of the fundamental frequency, where the fundamental frequency F naught is equal to V over 4L. V over 4L. This is how you get to run calculations problems like in a closed pipe, find this harmonic or that overtone. We've taken time to explain how that fundamental frequencies, they are the lowest. Any other vibration higher than the fundamental frequency, we call it an overtone. So we all have the first overtone, the second overtone, the third overtone, the fourth overtone, as the case may be. And calculations can be done simply by remembering that for closed pipe, just closed pipe, because we're soon going to talk about open pipes. For closed pipes, they are odd number multiples of the fundamental frequency.